on Guardians of the Galaxy and 127 frames per second are you insane? Okay, I'll start the video by saying that I was wrong. You know, I'm big of a man to admit when I'm wrong about something. And I was wrong about Bazzite. Now, see, I've mostly used Windows for my handheld journey. And every time anybody has told me about Bazzite, I've been like, yeah, it cannot be that much good, right? Right? Well, I think it's much better than I would have ever expected. And if you are on the fence about Bazzite, or you have any of the consoles like the Xbox Ally X that I have here, or even my Legion Go 2, which we'll probably get into right now, and you're considering if Bazzite is the right move for you, just watch my experience and decide for yourself. We'll come back to that later. But let me just start the video by showing you this, which is my Legion Go 2. Now, I've had this in the bag since I think all day because I went out today. I went to like a photo shoot with one of my friends. But if it were Windows, this would have definitely turned on. And I mentioned this in my Legion Go 2 video, is that even if I put it on hibernate, sometimes it still manages to turn on and then starts heating up in the bag, which is not great. But I'm on Bazzite here, so let me just do a quick experiment. Let me take it off right there, right? So you can see this is my Legion Go 2 right here, right? I'm going to now press the power button. So let's look for the power button. I'm going to press it and you give it a quick second. Did I press it well? I don't think I pressed it. Okay. Sometimes, yeah, the button is hard to reach. I think I did press it because it flashed and then it flashed back. Okay. So I'm just going to give it a while and I'm just doing this live. So let me just press it again. I'm going to press the button there and boom. Now I'm playing Guardians of the Galaxy, as you can see here, and I'm not sure you can see the frame rate. It's at 112 FPS, okay? Now what is insane about this is not the 112 FPS, okay? What is insane about this is that I am on a 17 watt TDP. That means that I am literally just using 17 watts right here, as you can see, just 17 watts. And if I bring up the HHD behind there, you can see I have 17 watts. So with just 17 watts, I'm getting about 100 frames per second. Can you see that? Like, that is like really, really fast. And sure, there's a little bit of an input lag, but on a game like this, I'm not like a professional gamer or anything. It's completely perfectly fine. So I think that's the first point for Bazzite here, is that, of course, I'll go into my plugins next and how I'm able to achieve this, and if you want to achieve this yourself. But this is on 17 watts. And when I was at 100% battery power, which is how I left the house, it showed me an estimated average time of about 2 hours, 40 minutes. So I'd have been able to get 2 hours, 40 minutes of battery life, which is insane. And as you can see right here, with just 59% left, I have about 1 hour, 36 minutes of projected battery life. Again, I would have never gotten this on Windows, not at least with this performance that I'm getting here. So the first point that I've been able to see on Bazzite is being able to play my games at like really, really low TDPs. At least 17 watts is good enough. Now, if we go into my settings here, you can see in resolution, I'm at full resolution. So I'm not downscaling or anything. It's at 144 Hertz there. Of course, I'm using frame gen, which again, I'll get to in the next section. But yeah, insane for full resolution quality right here on Guardians of the Galaxy, and 127 frames per second are you insane? And if I just go into my home right here and I go to my home screen, of course, you can see that I've really customized it. First is my font. You can see I have this programmer font here. I think there's a name for it on Decky. So speaking of Decky, let's talk about Decky. So Decky is basically like a plugin loader for SteamOS here. So Decky here, if I press on the right here and I go all the way to the bottom here and I go here, Decky basically is a way to be able to install different plugins. And of course, I have quite a few here, which is the frame gen. I will get to that last, but I'm really excited about the frame gen here, which is how I'm able to get such great performance on such low TDPs, or at least such medium TDPs here. So there's volume boost because the volume is not quite good in my cons of Bazzite. It's not all great, I can't promise you that. And here there's SteamGridDB, where you're able to change your logos and all of that here, the Proton DB badges. And so these are some of the ones here. CSS loader to be able to change the themes on SteamOS here, playtime, play count, a magic pod. So when I connect my AirPods Max, for example, I'm actually able to control the transparency just like I would on an Apple device, which even Windows doesn't have that, or at least to the best of my knowledge, it's not possible on Windows, but you have that here thanks to all the plugins such as the magic pods here. is there any deal, which will show you like the lowest price of a game whenever you go into like a store page on Steam. Freeloader, which shows you some of the free games such as Epic Games or even on Steam, so I don't have to open those apps individually. I just have it here. When it comes to plugins here, and if I just go into the store, you can actually see some of the other plugins that are here and some of the ones that I've, of course, have installed here. If I just go into some of my games here, I just want to show you some of the plugins, so I'm not just telling you about them. So here, for example, if I press on this menu and I go into change artwork, because of one of those plugins here, I'm actually able to change the artwork, and I believe here I have the animated one. So if I select it right there, it's going to download it and it's going to apply it and applied it there. And if we exit now, I believe if it's like the second game, so if it were this here, it will be animated. So that's one there. And if I open it right here, you can see how many people are online. So 196 people are online. So these are some of the plugins, and these are some of the things you have with Decky here. These are the ones I'm using, and these are the ones I definitely recommend. And when it comes to the frame gen, now here we have Decky frame gen, which is a frame gen that will use OptiScaler basically. Now I installed that here from the plugin. And there's also the Decky LSFG-VK, which uses lossless scaling. Now, if you've not already downloaded lossless scaling, I really recommend you pay for lossless scaling. I believe it's like $5 or $6. It's like really cheap, and it goes on sale all the time. So lossless scaling here, if you try to launch it, it actually will not launch, but you actually don't need it to launch. All you have to do is just pay for it, download it, and also download plugin here on Decky. And now when you open it here, for what I'm using a 3x multiplier here, and these are some of my settings. So flow state is about 100%. I cap my FPS at 40%. So when I triple it, it will be 120 frames. That's how I'm able to get a stable 120 frames. As you can see right there, I also toggle on a performance mode. HDR mode is toggled on here, but it's not quite working for me. So I hope I can fix that eventually down the line. And you go all the way down. The magic thing you need here is to copy launch option, right? So you can either copy the launch option, but what I use, because I have that Decky FG as well with OptiScaler, is I copy this. Then you go into like your game preferences. I'm still in game. And one thing I like about this SteamOS here is just how fast it is, as you can see right there, right? I literally have a game running and it's just so fast to like switch between stuff, which on Windows, when I press like the Legion space button, for example, it takes forever to switch stuff and things are not very instant like it is here on SteamOS, which is really fantastic, right? So now when we come to Guardians of the Galaxy here, for example, you go into properties, in the game launch properties, you can see here I have pasted the launch options here. So that's how you're able to enable frame gen, which I think is a whole lot easier, because if you try to do this on Windows, you have to open up lossless scaling, press on scale at the top right there, quickly alt tab into your game, and then wait for that 5 seconds for it to scale. And then maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work because it's not exclusive full screen or whatever bullshit. You don't have any of that here. Here, you literally just put your launch options and boom, it's done. So when you go into your game now, it literally just has that. Look at that. It's literally locked to like 120 frames per second. You can see that, right? Like it doesn't dip, and there is no like frame dips. So let me just turn on the performance here, the overlay, right? So I don't usually game with like the full overlay. You can see there, like what you want to look for is that green line on the top left, right? You can see that there are no spikes. It's like very constant, right? So the experience is really nice. And of course, some people can say it's fake frames or whatever, but if it is smooth, it looks smooth, it smells smooth, well, to me, it is smooth. I'll tell you that for sure. So this is how I recommend you're able to get like really great performance. And again, I'm not using this at like 720p or whatever. I'm using this at the full 1920 by 1200 of the Legion Go 2 here. So I'm taking full advantage of it. The only caveat here is that I've not quite gotten HDR to work with this particular configuration, which is with lossless scaling and the Decky FG. So if you know how to solve that, please let me know. But performance is great. Like what? You can tell me that I can play like AAA games like this, especially Guardians of the Galaxy. This game is such a pain in the ass to run. Even on my RTX 3080 mobile, it runs like ass there, right? So imagine running this at 17 frames. Okay, you know what? It's my fault for like ignoring Bazzite this long. Like really, it's my fault at this stage. Now, one of the things that I was worried about for the longest time is that I use my Windows handheld primarily because I want to game not just on Steam, because I don't have just games on Steam, right? I have games on Epic Game Store. I have games on Game Pass, because I do have Game Pass as well. So that's one of the holdouts that I held out for quite a while. So let's start with Steam and then we go to the other ones, right? So with Steam, for example, of course, not all games will be compatible. So we're looking into the games here. So I've got about 279 games, but only 188 of it is a SteamOS compatible. So about almost 85, 87 of them are not compatible, which I think most of them go down to just some with anti-cheat and some with probably compatibility issues. So I know that FIFA for sure is not compatible here with SteamOS. So which means that I think because of the anti-cheat that it uses, it's not all anti-cheat. Games with anti-cheat definitely works, but a game like this, for example, does not work. And I think one of the nice plugins I also have is that Proton badge right there, the borked, which will show you compatibility of a game on Bazzite or SteamOS or not. So you can see here EAFC will not work. So it's nice to be able to at least have a plugin that would be able to tell you, for example, this one is gold, so you know that it's going to work properly. So I think for Steam, definitely it's a bit touch and go. Most games will work. As you see, majority of my library here is working. But for some games, it might not be that you want all the game to work. You might just want to play EAFC, and there's no way you're going to be able to use Bazzite on this. So that's something to take into account. Next is the non-Steam stores. So here, my friend Zid, of course, loaded Emulation Station for me. So Emulation Station is just being able to like run emulation for almost everything. And as you can see, I have emulators for Nintendo Switch. So these are some of the games on Switch right here. You can see that. And I love the cover art. It looks so good. Like, what is this? Like retro handheld, Joey's retro handhelds. You have PlayStation right here. So different PlayStation games. You have a PS2 and I believe, yeah, God of War as well. You have PS4. Do I have PS4? Wow. The PS4 Bloodborne for some reason here. You are able to emulate well. And I think with Bazzite, because of just how low you can configure that TDP and it generally just sips less power, you can be able to like just run emulation like really well here. That's emulation. Now, another store that I use a lot is Epic Games. And in fact, my Cyberpunk 2077 here is from Epic Games. So I added it from Epic Games. So I've not been able to get it to launch. So if I try to play it, for example, it shows me the loading whatever, but it just doesn't work. Like, as you can see that it didn't load anything. It's literally just that. So I've not been able to configure it to work, but that's something you can definitely do. And we'll talk about that when I go into like the desktop interface, because this is Linux. We have to talk about the big Linux elephant in the room. But yes, that's Epic Games, which you can get to run, and you can even add the launcher here like I have. So I've not got it working, but can definitely have it working as well. So Epic Games will work. And again, it depends on the anti-cheat. So if you have games that have anti-cheat, for example, that need Windows or need like a kernel level or whatever it is, they will not work here is what I'm saying. Now, to be able to either play your Epic Games or to be able to do stuff such as the emulation or even some configurations, you will need to go into desktop mode. So to be able to do that is really easy. All you have to do is just press on your Steam button, which here is the Legion Space button, press on your power and go all the way down to switch desktop, and it will switch to desktop mode right here. And it doesn't take that long. I can literally talk you through it. It just exits and it brings you here into the desktop. And since we are in the desktop mode here, we're going to start with one of my major cons, not just in desktop mode here, but just in SteamOS in general, is that the keyboard sucks, right? So if I bring up the keyboard, which you just bring up by swiping from the bottom, which it sounds like something that would be intuitive, but let's say I open up the terminal. So let me just open up the terminal right here for my Bazzite, right? I have something here and I need to enter something in my keyboard. I swipe it up from the bottom right there. Automatically, there's always a delay. It's not as fast as I think it should be or as every other thing in SteamOS is. But okay, now let's say I want to type something, right? Now, in this case, I can see it because I don't have anything in the terminal already, right? Okay, now, as you can see, I've entered two different commands, but I cannot see anything. If you have like multiple commands, and believe me, if you're using Bazzite and Linux just in general, you will need to use the terminal a lot. So this is where this came in handy, which is just a keyboard here, which I covered in my best Legion Go 2 accessories video. So in this keyboard, what I set up is it supports up to 3 different Bluetooth devices. I really suggest you get an external keyboard if you're going to be using Bazzite. The keyboard sucks here when I swipe from the bottom there. it literally obstructs everything. And there's no way you can scroll in the terminal or in apps like this when you're typing. Yeah, you're just stuck with that. So I really, really recommend you get an external keyboard. Now, one of the nice things in theory that in practice did not make a lot of sense, but in theory was great, was shared storage. So what I have here on my Legion Go 2 is I have a 4 terabyte, which I upgraded. Again, go watch my video about like the top accessories for Legion Go 2. Now, I have the setup here that I have 350 gigs for my Bazzite, so I can install, SteamOS or whatever I need, my emulation and all that. 1 terabyte for Windows, because I do want to play Game Pass games, which I'll get to Game Pass last, and 2.4 terabytes for a shared storage. So if I go into awesome storage right here, you can see I have my Epic games here. I have my Steam library. And if I open my Steam library, for example, on my Steam apps and my common, you can see I have all of these games. And the nice thing here is that I can download this game into one folder, and either I'm on SteamOS or Bazzite, or I'm on Windows, it will be able to, or I will be able to play those games on either of those platforms. So I don't need to like download the game twice, for example, right? Sounds great in theory, except like for me, it just didn't work, right? I kept getting these disk write errors. So I would download the game, for example, on SteamOS. I would play it. It will be fine. When I go into Windows and I try to update it, like, because, sometimes the game gets automatic updates, especially like American Truck Simulator or Euro Truck Simulator, I just will not be able to update it. Disk write error, right? I'll reboot back into Bazzite. I'll try to do the same thing. I'll try to update it there. Same thing, disk write error. And I pulled my hair out for days. I even chatted with Zid, who helped me configure this whole thing, because I didn't do this configuration myself. He also was kind of lost as to what happened. And I think the culprit here, which solved the problem for me, it might solve the problem for you. I have a website that I put everything, all my configurations for this here. I think I created a website where I dumped all of that config there. Link will be in the description down there below. But I just was lost. Like, what else am I going to do? So I found the culprit was that I had hibernated on Windows. And because I had hibernated on Windows, what happens is that Windows is so protective, right? If you're not familiar, if you don't understand Windows, it's literally a prima donna, right? It's like you do anything, you sneeze, and Windows is like, oh, I'm not working anymore. You're like, yeah, but I just sneezed, bro. It's like, yeah, I'm not working anymore because you sneezed. That's essentially Windows, which is insane, because I think I had hibernated because I was trying to get that fast resume feature also on Windows. And I think that had corrupted one of the shared drives that I was using. So because of that, Linux will see that corruption and be like, whoa, we're not going to touch anything here, right? So it's going to mount your drive as read-only, which at the time I didn't know. So it took days, I think almost 2 or 3 days of diagnosing. And I was only able to fix it with the help of 2 different AI agents. I was on Claude, I was on Gemini, and fixing the errors. You can see here, literally, this was the last time I opened it. And I was also on Claude here, which was also helping me diagnose all the issues I had and how to fix it. And Claude didn't work. I thought Claude would work better, but it didn't. Actually, it was Gemini 3.0 that actually worked better, which was crazy to me, but hey, it worked. So I think that's another downside of using Bazzite/Linux, is that you will have to solve these very niche problems that probably nobody else will have, because Zid never had this problem, or anybody that I knew who uses Bazzite did not have this problem. So they did not know how to help me. So as much as Bazzite is great with all of the plugins and everything, one thing you have to understand is that it will become a time suck if you're not careful, and it might just be so frustrating. Like I know that I was so frustrated that at one stage I considered just wiping everything, the entire 4 terabyte drive, and just putting back Windows there, so I don't have to worry about it. Thankfully, I was able to solve it, but I thought about it. So that's another thing to take note of if you're going to be using Bazzite/Linux, SteamOS, whatever, is that it does require you to solve some niche problems sometimes. And my suggestion will always be to just, like what I did here, I just literally copy everything in my terminal. So I go into my terminal, for example, I copy everything, I paste it there, and I ask it, what is wrong here? It gives me a reply. I copy it again. I paste it here, screenshots, paste it there. I have all of this, paste it there. You can see that. This is my terminal output, paste it there. So that would help a lot using these AI models, which solve the whole lot more problem. I don't have to go to Reddit. I don't have to go to all of these places, but you will have to be a technician, I would say, one time or another, whether at the beginning or at the end or in the middle, somewhere in that pipeline, you will have to solve problems. But the nice thing about having this, and I'm just going to go back into gaming mode by clicking on the shortcut there that Zid set up for me. Zid, what a guy. What a guy. I'll be seeing him this weekend. I'm so excited to see him this weekend. But going back into gaming mode right here, and yeah, it makes it all worth it. When I'm able to just press one button and the game launches, and press another button and it's automatically just hibernated. And as you can see here, I'm not sure if you can see, just watch that here. I have animated covers right here because you can, of course, do animated covers for some reason, right? And even this is not a default SteamOS interface, right? So yeah, that makes it worth it for me at least, right? Where I'm just able to press one button and it goes off and I get 120 FPS on 17 watts. Like, that is insane, especially because I've realized that even when I'm plugged into power, I think maximum I'm going is about 25 watts, because the 128 KB guys did like many comparisons and benchmarks, and at I think more than 25 watts, there's a lot of diminishing returns, not just for this, which is the Legion Go 2, but also the Xbox Ally X, which is also a Z2 Extreme chip handheld as well. For me, as someone who traditionally on Windows, I'm always using it at 35 watts, even if I can get away with it, right? And one of the complaints I had with the Legion Go 2 when I reviewed it was that, it's so loud, so noisy. But ever since I've been using Bazzite, a great advantage I found is that, what noise? What noise? Because most times I'm running at 17 watts. And one thing I like here about Bazzite is you can literally like force it to like run at that TDP, right? You can literally force like a TDP limit right here. So it's not going to go over that TDP limit, which is great. And you also have this HHD right here, which is the controls. And if I bring it up there, you can see that right here. And I turned off a TDP boost because I don't want it to go beyond 17 watts. I swiped that out there, but you can see that here is where I reboot into Windows. I've not installed like a bootloader, so when I boot, it always automatically boots into Bazzite, but that's something I can easily do by, I believe, installing Refined, which is like a boot manager. Coming back to the last con, sadly, if you have something like this, which is the Xbox Ally X, and you want to play your Game Pass games, or even on the Legion Go 2, I just wanted to bring out the Xbox Ally there because I was talking about Xbox Game Pass. But if you want to play Game Pass, then you're never going to be able to play Game Pass because Game Pass is locked to Microsoft, is locked to Windows. And for me, Microsoft Flight Simulator, for example, that's literally why I only have Windows to play Microsoft Flight Simulator, because you need that one game. And for me, it's Microsoft Flight Simulator. And as someone who is privileged enough to have both consoles right here, both the Legion Go 2 and the Xbox Ally X right here, I'm very lucky. I would say, of course, I bought my Legion Go 2, so there was no luck there. But this Ally X I got from Microsoft, so I'm excited to just use this as my Xbox gaming machine, literally as my Xbox console. And I believe a new update just came out in preview where they actually preload game settings, which I think is a step in the right direction for handheld gaming on battery. And of course, I think eventually that will come to consoles like the Legion Go 2 as well. I think that's a great first step in being able to have something where you're not even managing it, right? Because right now with handheld gaming, it's not very plug and play. You have to manage it. You have to know what you're doing. If you don't know that, you will just, and I get these comments all the time, you just feel very frustrated because why am I game lagging? Why am I a AAA game lagging? Why even some games that are not AAA games, why are they lagging? So I think this is a step in the right direction, but Bazzite for us right now, right now, as I'm talking to you, especially when you look at all of the plugins that you do have right here, your PlayTime, your CSS loader. Oh, let me look at PlayTime. So this shows you your daily average of how much you've been gaming. And since I've installed Bazzite, I game on average about 2 hours. Wow, I game on average 2 hours every day. That's insane. And I think one thing I love about Bazzite is it's so low stakes, right? So that means that when I have maybe 5-10 minutes, normally if I had a Windows handheld, I would need to like boot it up, wait for it to boot up the game, because of course I can't hibernate when the game is on. It's not going to resume back. So I have to wait for it to load that game. By the time all of that is done, then get into the game. Okay, the settings are not right. Okay, try to tweak the settings, because sometimes I find like even Guardians of the Galaxy, like it works well, but then it's the same settings, but it just doesn't work the next time I launch it because that game is very flaky like that. By the time you've done all of that, 5-10 minutes has already passed. While on Bazzite, I can literally just jump into the game immediately and I can play for like 5-10 minutes, the same amount of time it would have taken me just to load the game on Windows. I play that game here on Bazzite, 10 minutes, I'm done. I press the power button, it goes back to sleep, and I can go back to doing whatever I'm doing. So I think Bazzite has been the antidote to doom scrolling for me. So instead of doom scrolling on my phone, going on Twitter, going on Threads, going on Instagram, I literally just press one button, open up my games, play for like 10 minutes, and go back to whatever I was doing. Which, if that sounds like something that is right up your alley, then Bazzite, like, do it. Don't even think about it. Just do it. And there you have it. That is Bazzite right here on my Legion Go 2. But of course, you can have it on almost any device, your Xbox Ally X, your original Xbox, MSI Claw, whatever. Bazzite has support for almost everything at this stage. And yes, I resisted it for so long. And if you're like me, or if you're someone who's very apprehensive of all of these settings and all of these tweaks, I understand it completely, because even I am someone who, I do this full time. This is my full-time job. And even I resisted it because I just want to play my games, man. I don't want to mess with all of those things. And when you can get over that bridge, and I think on Bazzite's website, they have extensive documentation about everything you need to know. If you can get over that, I would say you're in for a world where you can just play your games much better. And that's it for me. I've been your captain of awesome. This is Geekception. Thank you for making it all the way to the end here. I just wanted to make a video where I talk about Bazzite, my experience with it, and I've been using it, I think, for like a week full time now. So I really hope you've enjoyed it. This is a long one, as it always is. I make this for people like myself. I enjoy watching videos like this, right up my alley, because I just love sitting down, kicking back, and just enjoying people talking about the stuff that I also like talking about. So if that's you, please consider subscribing. Please consider leaving a like, becoming a member here to be able to support me, to be able to do all of this, because this is my full-time job. But even other than that, you cannot do any of that. Please make sure you text me when you get home so I know you got home safe. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one. Don't forget to stay awesome. Bye. And thank you for making it all the way to the end of the video. And again, this video has taken me far more time than I would have liked. It's a little bit longer than I would have liked, but I'm just getting out of my head for this one. I just telling myself that, you know, the people who really want to watch this video, I don't even need you to appreciate it, right? Just the people who want to watch it will watch it regardless of how long it is. And if you're that person, leave hashtag I am awesome, so I know you made it here in your comment when you leave a comment down below, because you are awesome. I love watching videos like this, and I always have this constant fight of, do I make the video more palatable for like a general audience, you know, make the quick cuts and everything, or do I just continue making what I'm making, which is just something that I would watch? And I've stuck to making what I would watch, and I'm so glad, I'm so lucky that I have you watching as well. All right, please share with me some of the things you're excited about in the comments below. Please make sure you're taking care of yourself. And I just got this Apple Watch. My wife bought it for me for my birthday. I'm so excited. I've already ran one run with it, and I think I made like one video about it. Not sure when it will come on the channel because I'm not the fastest, but I'm so excited about it. And please share the things you're excited about. All right, I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.